Attack on Titan is an anime based around the lives of the Eldians who are persecuted by the Marleyans. The story depicts the journey of Eren Yeager and his path through the hero's journey that unfortunately leads him into a villain. It is an anime where the treatment of the Eldians is similar to the representation of the ideology of the life of the Jewish people under the fascist rule in the Second World War. From a quote I read from Eagleton, to claim that someone is thinking, speaking ideologically is usually to suggest that their views of things is skewed by a set of rigid preconceptions. The Marleyans represent the Nazis in the 1930s and 40s Germany, and is more a representation of how a life would be had Hitler succeeded. Attack on Titan is an example why we as people should not forget what happened nearly 100 years ago, and the memories should live on, so we learn from our mistakes. The show also incorporates the value of freedom, as the characters throughout the show are constantly trapped in the walls and never freely get to choose what they want to do. They just have to fight for survival. These ideologies are shown through the use of the hero's journey as the main character, Eren, who is a boy who wants to fight for his freedom and the peace of his race. Attack on Titan introduces a world where the Marleyans have won a war, similar to what would happen had the Nazis and Germany won the war. It starts off by showing the life of the Eldian people stuck inside 3 walls, and the story is developed to expose the world where the Marleyans are the supreme race, and believe the propaganda that the Eldian people are dangerous and a threat to the entire world. In the show, we see the Eldian people locked in an internment zone, wearing armbands that were like the Jewish people's Star of David armbands, and if they were found outside their internment zone, they are beaten as punishment. This shows that life for these people would have been miserable, and hopefully shows us, the viewers, that we should learn from our past mistake, and is designed to make sure that it will never happen again. In the modern day, it is continually important that we remember the horrors of the fascist regime, particularly as far-right leaders can still claim political support. For example, Marine Le Pen gained 41.5% of the votes in 2022 presidential election, and her party held far-right views. The fact that a far-right group can gain so much support in 2022 shows how quickly the horrors of fascism can be forgotten, and shows us the importance of imagery such as in Attack on Titan to refresh people's memories and teach a new generation the negative side of fascism. The Slovenian philosopher Zizek describes how ideological views become supported. He said ideology is not a dreamlike illusion that we build to escape insupportable reality. In its basic dimension, it is a fantasy construction which serves as a support for our reality itself. Zizek is saying that the people make up a theory that supports what they want society to do and believe. In Attack on Titan, the Marleyans are taught to be scared that the Eldians will enact the rumbling, which could kill every human on Earth. In that way, the ideology gives the people of Marley an excuse for their actions. In the modern world, the United States elected Donald Trump as its president.
Whilst he did not use his time and power to kill, he did create an idea of support for America and victimize Latin Americans in the name of his quest to make America great again.
As Hannah Arendt wrote in The Origins of Totalitarianism, a fundamental difference between modern dictatorships and all other tyrannies of the past is that terror is no longer used as a means to exterminate and frighten opponents, but as an instrument to rule masses of people who are perfectly obedient.
Attack on Titan is a modern lesson of the dangers of such nationalistic policy.
Throughout Attack on Titan, there is an ongoing theme of the quest for freedom, both physically and mentally. From the first episode, we see them all trapped in between the walls, and the people inside not really knowing what is on the outside, as they have spent their whole lives there within the wall. Eren Yeager is driven by a desire to see what is outside the walls, and to find out the truth about Titans.
The quest for freedom is important to the show, as it shows the audience something they can empathize with, as freedom is something all humans desire.
Eren's development throughout the series shows us how he will do whatever he wants for his freedom, and it's in his true belief in his freedom that will make him feel less responsible for his actions. Death of others is just a consequence he's willing to take, just to be free. This shows us that people are willing to do anything to fight for their freedom. Depending on perspective, acts of war can either be murder or a great sacrifice to secure the freedom of your people. Russian propaganda has explained Putin's attack on Ukraine as a fight to secure freedom from aggressors against Russia. Eren and others in the war between Eldia and Mali can be viewed from both sides, as we see from the Eldians' perspective from Season 1 to 3, and in Season 4 it shows us quite a bit of how the war is for Mali. An important thread of developing a show is the use of the hero's journey. A quote I read says, "The hero's journey is a process of rediscovery of the principles that make up identity. The audience is taken on a journey as they follow through the various stages as the hero grows and matures as a person." The hero's journey was written by Joseph Campbell and shows us 12 stages for the hero to go through to develop the story. Eren Yeager, our hero, goes through the 12 stages of the hero's journey. It starts off by Eren living in peace behind the wall. His call to adventure happens after the death of his mum, when the wall is destroyed by the Colossal Titan and the Titans take Shiganshina. His refusing the call happens when he can't control the ODM gear and gets eaten by a Titan. He meets his mentor, Captain Levi and Zoe Handry. He crosses the threshold by getting back to Shiganshina. His test, allies and enemies, comes when he finds out his teammates are Titans working against him. His approach to the inner cave is when him and the scouts go to take back Shiganshina. The ordeal is Eren fighting the Titans to take back Shiganshina. Him seizing the reward is the scouts winning back his home. The road back is fighting off the last Titans. The resurrection is helping everyone move back to Shiganshina. And after this, in the last phase, Eren turns into a changed man. The hero's journey in Attack on Titan is not quite the usual narrative. The journey starts, as usual, an ordinary character unaware of any difference, and then he becomes aware of his future path. However, this then subverts the journey, and our hero turns from protagonist to antagonist. By Season 4, his quest has turned him into a complete villain. However, he still believes in his character's journey, as this is what he thinks he needs to do in a quest for freedom and to make sure the survival of his race. The hero's journey is important to this story as it provides a base structure to the whole show, and allows the audience to witness the story as the hero is developing. As Christopher Vogler wrote in The Writer's Journey, that it is a very strong rule in drama and in life that people remain true to their basic natures. They change, and the change is essential for drama, but typically they only change a little, taking a single step towards integrating a forgotten or rejected quality into their natures. The character of Eren is developed slowly, adopting more of his basic nature. In fact, in Attack on Titan, the hero, seeing his future, develops his character as he finds a quality that he did not know he had, and that develops his character along the journey. His journey from protagonist to antagonist is not an unusual plot device, motivated by his quest to free his people. His initially heroic actions are subverted to a darker path, in order to achieve his objective. The viewer understands his motivation because they have watched his descent onto a villainous path. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Despite the viewer understanding his descent, they do not want his villainous actions to succeed, and the viewer is left hoping he still has a path to redemption. Through all of this, we see our main character Eren go through the stages of the hero's journey, but at the end he completely subverts the journey. And it shows us, the audience, that if people do go on an adventure like this, that sometimes the negative side of personality can take over. The use of the hero's journey is important in a book or production, as it provides a framework in order to tell tales the writer desires. The subversion of the hero's journey in Attack on Titan feeds into the narrative, that the ideology of fascism is dangerous. Attack on Titan shows us a segregated world, where the fascists believe they have won, but through the journey, we see how dangerous segregation and the ideologies behind fascism can be. Seeing the impacts of fascism on his life, our hero is made into someone who wants to exterminate the entire world. Some of the audience in the third season of Attack on Titan believed that the show was pro-fascist and anti-Semitic. This is because some viewers wrongly perceived the Eldians as the villains, just because they could turn into Titans. However, on further analysis, it is the Marlians who made the Eldians turn into the mindless Titans, and therefore are the villains in the story. As people continue to watch the series, they all understand it is not pro-fascist, and the message is that fascism is bad. The ideology and hero's journey in Attack on Titan was particularly interesting to me as a Jewish person whose family spent the war in the UK, and so, had Hitler conquered the UK, my family would have been badly impacted by Hitler's final solution, and so it made me feel for the Eldians trapped inside the wall. It made me particularly empathise with Eren Yeager and immerse myself in the story, and I wanted to watch his journey through the entire run of the show. In conclusion, developing theories of ideologies of fascism and freedom, and structuring the story around the hero's journey are vital to create an entertaining and thought-provoking show. The setting of Attack on Titan around fascism makes people believe that the events in the show are possible. The motivation of the people of Eldia to getting their freedom is an important ideology that most people can connect to. The show is given an understandable structure by taking Eren on the hero's journey. It is Eren's journey fighting against the ideology of fascism to gain his freedom that teaches the viewer lessons on how bad society would have been in a fascist world. It is vital that these lessons are continually learned for future generations so that dangerous ideologies are not adopted again.